Gates Adams here on behalf of Apex Trader Funding. I am here with Phil in the UK. Phil, how are you doing today? Or this
I'm all
evening?
right, thank you. Very well, very well. Eight
Excellent.
o'clock, 8 o'clock in the evening here, and I'm enjoying life.
Excellent. Well, I see I see you've got a cup of celebration in front of you.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So, of course, the reason that we have you on here today is because, of course, you achieved the level that every funded trader wants to achieve, which is actually taking cash out of the process
Yeah.
and being a paid funded trader. So, congratulations on that.
Thank
Uh,
you.
as we kind of get a little bit of an idea of your experience so far, let's maybe start a little bit from the beginning. First of all, about how long have you been trading?
Very long time. Since about the year 2000. It's something I've always been interested, right from when I was a youngster, a child, in fact. What I think my interest started with trading places, which I'm sure you all love, as traders. But I was just fascinated by the whole thing. I was just always been interested in it. So I started way back then. Was fortunate enough to have a lot of money around about that time. Put it into a trading account, up to around 100 grand or so, and just realized it wasn't as easy as I thought it would be, and lost a lot of it. I mean, most of it. And over the years since then, it's always been something that I knew that I wanted to pursue. But it's difficult if you have your own career, which I ostensibly did. I mean, I'm a record producer, classical record producer, and been doing that for many, many years. And it's hard to actually change careers in that sense. And I think that with trading, it's difficult to just dabble. You can't dabble. You have to commit yourself completely, and it's very, very hard to do that when you have a lot of other commitments.
Well, and I absolutely would agree with that. I think people find
Mm.
themselves the consistency requires consistency. The only thing that matters in trading is consistent performance. And if you're not consistently in front of it and involved in it, it's hard to maintain that. At least that's been my experience for sure.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
so when you first started trading, what were you trading? What kind of instruments were you trading back in the day? Did you start off?
Same as now. Really, always derivatives. Never really did stocks. I mean, not really.
Mhm.
It was always derivatives, futures. Never really did options. But it's always been basically stock indices, golds, oil,
Sure.
currencies, forex. But apart from the forex, it's all been derivatives.
Okay. Now, how did you learn? Did you have a trading system that you learned? Did you watch
Yeah,
some
well,
videos? Did you have a
way
mentor?
back in the day, it was like I learned from a guy called Keith Cotterill. He's still active, I believe. He's got something called the Omni system. He's based in the UK, and he had this thing called Trading Edge Worldwide, and it seemed really persuasive, and essentially it's like any ideas in trading, they all have validity. But it's more than just about you know it's more than just about signals and things. You have to really kind of understand the markets, which is something I've learned latterly. In the last 5, 6, 7 years. But Keith Cotterill is still a trader who's is trading, and his main focus was volume. So the thrust of his ideas was to look at volume loaded bars. He'd call them loaded up bars or loaded down bars. And it was basically a system based on pullbacks, entering markets on pullbacks, and there were 5 setups. One was going into the market, one was like waiting for a pullback of 50% or whatever.
Sure.
But it was very simple stuff. But what resonated was the fact that it was all based on volume, which is kind of like a Sherlock Holmes type approach. What are the big boys doing? Why is there so much volume?
Right.
And you're basically you jump on the coattails of the volume. I mean, I didn't know enough at that early age, to really grasp the full nuance of how volume is, why there is volume, why it could be short volume, it could be long volume, it could be liquidation, it could be accumulation. There's all sorts of volume isn't just volume, but that the idea of volume is definitely informed my trading. Like in the last since I've become like what I would call a mature trader. Which
Sure.
is what I consider myself to be.
Which has brought you to where you are today.
Yeah, exactly.
So excellent, excellent. So, how long have you actually been trading with Apex Trader Funding at this point?
Oh, actually, not sure. A number of years. I think like 2 years, maybe. Actually, I don't know. To be honest, like a year or two, something like that.
Okay.
I mean, I have an embarrassing number of evaluation accounts. If that's any indication.
You know what? I was doing an interview.
Tell you how many I've got.
Yeah, sure. If you want to say.
People might think less of me.
I doubt it. I did not actually mean that the way that it sounded.
That's impossible. No, okay. I would say it's north of 1,000.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, so it's I think it's important for people to have realistic expectations, which is not necessarily get your first evaluation and start just printing money. No. It doesn't necessarily work that way, but diligence and sticking to it will ultimately get the job done. Now, all of that said,
go on.
I was going to say, all of that said, if you had been trading your own funds, where do you think you would be financially in this process during that period of time versus being a funded trader?
It's a very hard question to answer because of course there are a number of different evaluation accounts that you can get. I mean, when I look back at the amount of money I've spent on Apex, of course, if I'd just not spent any of that money, just put it all in the trading account, I'd be much better off now, probably. Because it's like it's thousands and thousands of dollars, obviously. But I see it as a kind of an educational tool. I see it as a way of learning. I say learning to trade. Obviously, I've been trading for many, many years, but you never stop learning. And in order to become consistent and profitable, you need to really, focus completely. And I see the Apex scheme, this whole idea of evaluation accounts as being a perfect way of just sort of trying your ideas out and without real fear, without because it's not your capital. Although of course it depends on how many. I mean, now they do all these 90% sales and things like that, but of course a year ago that was just unheard of. But so I have spent an awful lot of money on it, but I don't see it as, I don't regret anything.
Sure. Well, all of that time is giving you that much more experience and practice, if nothing else.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Excellent. Now, as you went through this process, not necessarily naming any names, but had you looked at or worked with any other funding companies prior to working with Apex?
I've done a few. I've done Top Step. I've done Upstep. What's it called? Upstart. You Trader. Whatever. What's it called?
You Profit, I think.
You Profit. That's right. And what is the other one? Oh yeah, Lilu. Yeah. Okay. I've done a few, but I stuck with Apex because Apex genuinely seemed to be I got the best vibe, apart from anything else, apart from the fact that Apex has got the most generous terms, most generous conditions. It seemed like it wasn't just there to get your resets. I mean, I know that they have to get it has to be part of the business model because because they have to consider, all these thousands of people trying to be traders. So they have to have a way of differentiating the wheat from the chaff, as it were. But when I was with Top Step, I just thought that it just seemed like the whole thing was geared towards just like resetting all the time, just like constant resets, and the fact that when you had your actual account, I don't know if it's the same now, but certainly it wasn't it was a trailing drawdown like all the way. When you had your paid account, still a trailing drawdown. I don't know if that's the same now, but it maybe they've changed. But anyway, the point is, Apex for me was just always the best bet. It just seemed good fit.
Excellent. I'm inclined to agree, obviously. Now, are you trading just one performance account, or do you have multiple?
Well, well, after I made my withdrawal on my performance account, I actually blew that account, so I don't currently have any performance accounts. But I'm not pessimistic about that. I mean, I have had many performance accounts. I mean, I've had like 50 or so. Huh. So I mean, it's not it's not like the end of the world for me. I've got quite a few evaluation accounts in process, and hoping that I'll be able to. Well, I've already passed like 12 or 13 50K accounts.
Okay. Great.
In principle, I haven't done the full number of. I haven't done 7 days on them, but I've also paid for, because of this sale, I've paid for like 40, 45, 300K evaluation accounts, and I'm like halfway on all of them.
Okay.
So my intention is to basically end up with 20 300K accounts. That's my ultimate goal. Certainly 20 accounts of whatever flavor they happen to be. But definitely by the middle, I'm hoping when the next pay round comes up, which I'm too late for the beginning of May, but middle of May, I'll hope to make a big request for withdrawal, like I don't know, 20, 30, 40,000, whatever.
Excellent. It's awesome. So you've obviously traded your own funds, and now you're operating as a funded trader, and everybody likes to talk about trading psychology, mindset, and things like that. For you specifically, since you have experience on both sides of that coin, what's the difference for you psychologically trading and operating as a funded trader versus trading in an account that you funded yourself? Or is there one for you?
Not really much difference, to be honest. I mean, I'd say you're probably inclined to take more risks in the prop accounts, because you can always just pay to get another one. But having kind of experienced the downside of loose money management and over leverage over the last couple of years, it's something that's not really on the radar. And I would say that there isn't really much difference for me from trading my own funds. To be honest, I haven't had my this is particular to me. I mean, I've had real financial troubles over the last, I don't know, decade or so. It's been difficult for me, and that's been one of the hindrances, and it's what drew me really to what the prop accounts, because it's someone else's money. But of course, you still have to succeed, So I've never, not since like way back in the beginning of the 2000s have I really had enough money to say that I could have put it into an account and traded in any seriousness. So I'm afraid I'm not giving a very good answer to that.
Well, that's okay. I mean, there's a difference in opportunity. If you can't self-fund, but you can get it, an evaluation, then there's an opportunity difference. But for some people, that mindset difference is huge, and for some, it's just not, because of their relationship with money or trading or whatever the case may be. It's why I asked the question, because not everybody's going to be the same. So I appreciate you being pretty open on that. And I appreciate that. So as we take a look at moving forward, obviously the goal and the desire is to continue trading, to continue operating as a funded trader, and continue getting additional payouts, as we just talked about. If you're talking to somebody new who's just entering into the world of being a funded trader versus a self-funded trader, what piece of advice would you give somebody who's just starting out this process?
Take it slow.
Slow, huh?
I mean, I'm saying that as a figure of speech. What I mean is take it slowly. Of course, being English, being British, I have to be grammatically correct. But take it slow. Take it slowly. Just don't be impatient. And make sure that you know what you're doing. I mean, it seems like a sort of obvious thing to say, but I think you develop a relationship with the markets. I think it's like learning how to dance or something. You have to watch, or like for hours. You have to watch and see how the market reacts to volume and to order flow and things like that. Sure. Setups are, of course, useful and for getting structure into people's trading, but I think setups are kind of overestimated. I mean, it's not about a mechanical setup; it's about a proper, true relationship with the market. That's what I would say.
Excellent.
And also, take your losses quickly. Your first loss is your best loss.
Right. I had a friend of mine, that's funny you say that. I had a friend of mine, he, as a kind of a side thing, just a hobby, he rebuilt old Alfa Romeo cars. And he would always say when he was finished with one, the first thing that he would do is he would take his key and he would scratch it underneath the back bumper, under the bumper where you couldn't see it, because that first scratch was always the toughest.
Yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So,
well, in trading, the first loss is the best loss.
Right. And from there, if you can learn from it, learn from it. If not, then look a little deeper.
Yeah.
Because if you're not going to learn from it, then it's going to be a pretty tough, hard road. But there is always that lesson inside, and yeah. I truly believe that. So
yeah.
Well, this has been fantastic. This has been very eye-opening. Obviously, everybody's got a different experience, and one of the things that I like to try to do is bring different stories and different experiences to this process, because there's tons of traders out there, and everybody's got a variety of different backgrounds and relationships with trading, levels of experience, and other types of experience and things like that. And there's somebody that is going to connect with each trader story. And so
I hope so.
I do too. And I think this is the whole point of doing this. This is why I enjoyed this so much. It's such a blast for me, as we actually got to chat for a good bit before we even started the interview. In this case, I've gotten to know some pretty great people through this process, and it's been a lot of fun for me as well.
Yeah.
So Phil, I want to thank you so much for your time today. And as we continue to go through this process, we will be doing some additional interviews moving forward. I'd love the opportunity to catch up with you in a couple months and just kind of get an update and see how you're coming along then, if that sounds good.
That sounds great. Can I also mention, I feel bad now because you asked me about my influences, and I mentioned Keith Cottrell, that was just like when I was when I was like a boy. But recently, for the last 10 years or so, I've been and I know this is kind of like a sort of conflict of interest, because it's not Apex, but I've been in the room Compass FX with Kim Pingleton. I'm sure you've heard of her. Compass FX and brilliant trader called Ray. He's based in the UK. He's Scottish, so you don't always understand what he's saying, but no, but he's like brilliant, and he has totally transformed my trading. I would say that he's turned me into the the trader that I am today, for better or worse. So I would feel very guilty if I didn't mention Compass FX. And
and I appreciate that. I mean, I think that, I have my mentor. My mentor happens to be Daryl Lee, and I have been friends for 20 plus years.
yeah,
But I don't think the importance is which mentor you have always. I mean, you got to have a good one, but I think it's to have one. And I think
yeah,
that some people just get into the mindset of they can just sit there and they can watch video after video after video and have it be a one-sided thing, and learn all the nuance and intricacy of trading, which maybe they can, but I think it's a much more effective method to have somebody there to lead, guide you, and
yeah,
help you through the tougher times and talk you off the ledge when you inevitably end up there. So it's like
yeah,
anything else, it's a process. So I
yeah,
appreciate that.
yeah.
Excellent. Well, Phil,
Hopefully we can do this again next month when I'm making a massive, huge, disgusting withdrawal.
we're going to put you in the green overall here pretty soon. Keep after it.
Yeah, will do.
Awesome. Thank you, Phil, for your time. I do truly appreciate it. Have a great rest of your evening.
You too.
Thanks.